Hello everyone, my name is Rizky Fajrin Asiffa. I'm from 90 and my accent is 29. Today I'm gonna tell you about the story that I made entitled Karma. This story is a sequel from Maleficent story. Once upon a time there were two kingdoms. The first kingdom is a kingdom that contains humans like me and you, while the second kingdom contains forest dwellers who live like humans. The gentle nature of its inhabitants is very inversely proportional to its creepy looks. The kingdom is called the Moors. The two kingdoms are led by a beautiful queen named Aurora. It was she who succeeded in uniting the human kingdom with the Moors. Aurora has a mother named Maleficent and a lover named Philip. Aurora and Philip are happy lovers. They understand each other. Philip always took Aurora for a walk in the beautiful forest. He also understands the reason why Aurora chose to live in the moors rather than in the kingdom. In fact, Philip is already very close to the residents of the moors. The moors residents also treat Philip well because Philip is one of the happiness of their queen, Aurora. But Maleficent had a different view on Philip. Maleficent always felt that Philip was a hypocrite. Every day, Maleficent watched Philip's movements from the tree with David. "Do you feel something strange about the child?" Maleficent asked David. "What? Who? Philip?" David asked again. "Why are we watching from here?" replied Maleficent irritably. Something strange about Philip?" No, I don't feel anything. He behaved as usual." "Oh, his treatment to Aurora is very sweet," said David. Even though David said there was nothing wrong with Philip, Maleficent still felt that Philip had a bad personality. This prejudice made Maleficent hate Philip so much. Maleficent decided to talk about this to Aurora. The two met in a tree near the border between the kingdom and the moors. Following in her mother's footsteps, Aurora climbs a tree and sits beside Maleficent. "Be careful, dear," said Maleficent softly and assured with a smile from Aurora. The two of them had sat across from each other, but only silence filled the atmosphere now. Nobody wanted to start a conversation because it had been a long time since they had sat next to each other like this. It's very awkward. "It's been a long time since we were this close. I miss you." Maleficent started the conversation. "Ha, we're this close again now. You can talk about anything to me," replied Aurora casually. "How are you with Philip?" "Is it good?" asked Maleficent towards the topic of the conversation. Aurora's cheeks immediately flushed red. I'm with Philip? Yes, our relationship is very good." "Why do you ask that? Is there anything you want to say about Philip?" asked Aurora with looking at Maleficent. "Oh, I'll say something, but please don't be angry." "Okay, you can say that something now." "I have bad feelings for Philip. It seems there is something wrong with him. I'm afraid he might will harm you." Maleficent expressed what she wanted to say to Aurora. "What's on your mind? Philip always treats you and the rest of the Moors very well. There's nothing wrong with him," evasive Aurora. That's not what I meant. Please don't get me wrong, I'm just worried about you. I'm not a kid anymore. I know when I can choose what is right for me." "Yes, I know, but at least you have to be careful with him." "Why do I have to be careful if I know there is nothing wrong with him? You are so protective. Take it easy, my love story will not end like yours, full of betrayal." "How can you say that in front of me?" "From now on, I will live in the kingdom. Don't look for me again." Aurora laughed. "Aurora!" shouted Maleficent. Aurora also turned around and said, "And I will never miss you." After that fight, Aurora and Maleficent never spoke again. They never even met. It was as if they were waging such a cold war. Until one day, suddenly Moors turned into complete darkness and was filled with the black powder that came from nowhere. All the inhabitants of the Moors have turned into mush. The Moors fairies are dead, and the air feels so tight on the Moors. Maleficent and David tried to get rid of all this black powder. David guides Maleficent's direction and Maleficent directs her magic all over the moors. Gradually, the black powder disappeared, but suddenly the iron net caught Maleficent. David nimbly fled from the net. Maleficent managed to get caught in the iron net and the black powder was scattered again. Maleficent's magic could no longer be used because of the black powder. Maleficent fainted. David decided to go find Aurora and ask for her help. Meanwhile, Philip and Aurora still enjoy the beautiful forest. Aurora has no idea what's going on in the moors. Fortunately, David can find Aurora in the forest with Philip. David tells everything that happened in the moors and Maleficent. Immediately after being informed by David, Aurora runs towards the moors. David follows Aurora and leaves Philip alone in the forest. Arriving at the gate of the moors, Aurora stepped and began to enter the moors area, but David blocked it. It's very dangerous there. The powder is very dangerous. All the inhabitants of the moors have changed. All the fairies are dead and even Maleficent's magic can be defeated by the black powder. Prevents David. But I am a human. I don't have wings. I am not a fairy. I don't even have the slightest of magic. The powder seems to only apply to the inhabitants of the moors, so I can definitely enter. Aurora concluded. Are you sure? But I can accompany you. My body is already half filled with magic. Can you go alone? Yes, I can take care of myself. I will save the moors, my kingdom. I put my hope in you. Be careful, Aurora. Aurora nodded. She immediately stepped into the moors. She walked to every corner of the moors. In the middle of her journey, she stepped on an iron net and that's where Maleficent was trapped. The iron net is wrapped around Maleficent's body. Aurora removed the iron net from Maleficent's body. The net was successfully untied. Now all she saw was Maleficent's weak body with a very pale face. Aurora sat next to Maleficent, resting Maleficent's head on her lap. Shortly after that, Maleficent woke up. You come? That's the first word that Maleficent said. Yes, of course I will. Why don't you ever call me when you need help? Because I'm the strongest fairy? Maleficent replied softly with a smile. What did you wake me up with? Maleficent asked. I didn't do anything. I just put your head on my lap. Yes, that's right. This black powder can be removed when the inhabitants of moors are around humans. Maleficent is a fairy and Aurora is a human, so the effect of black powder is repelled by Aurora, who is a human. That means Maleficent and Aurora must always be together so that Maleficent's magic can return to work. Aurora and Maleficent are beginning to understand how this black powder works. While walking together, Maleficent unleashed her magic with all her might so that the black powder was gone. The black powder was gone, but the moors residents still didn't come back to life. As they were almost at the end of the moors, troops arrived. The troops stopped right at the border. Aurora and Maleficent turned and stared at each other. What is that? Maleficent asked. Let's see, invited Aurora. Aurora and Maleficent rushed the border. They saw that the troops were ready with their horses. Who will they attack? Who is the leader of the troops? Philip? Aurora is surprised. The leader of these troops was Philip. What is he up to, attacking the Moors? Philip got off his horse and said, Surprise, dear. Philip replied with a sly smile. Surprise? Aurora is shocked. Get out of here or you will die with her, Philip threatened. Philip, what are you talking about? Are you still not aware that I really don't like it when you are in a strange kingdom with the strange creatures in it? I thought after you left this strange kingdom, you didn't care about this kingdom anymore, but it turns out, every time with me you always talk about the Moors, expose all its goodness to me as if I was not good at all. And today, when I want to destroy this kingdom along with these strange creatures, you even intend to help them. Can't you be on my side this time? Philip, I didn't think this bad treatment of you. I already considered the Moors as my home. I even love the Moors more than you. Philip's anger grew so high that he finally commanded his troops. Attack! Shouted Philip. But apparently Philip's not phased now. Maleficent has prepared her magic. With a burning rage, Maleficent used all her magic to fight Philip's troops. The war between Maleficent and Philip's troops was very tense. Even if Maleficent is alone, she can definitely win this war. In the midst of the war, Philip shouted, "Stop! Stop attacking her!" shouted Philip. "Now, what are you going to do? Are you afraid of losing?" challenged Maleficent. "Haha, no, because I know I will win. I know who to use as the right bait." "Seize the right bait." Philip pointed to Aurora. Just as his index finger was pointing towards Aurora, Philip's troops shot their arrows. Maleficent, who is beside Aurora, stands swiftly in front of Aurora, spread her wings, doing her job as a mother who protects her child. 4 iron arrows pierced Maleficent's back. Iron is the weakness of the fairy, and now 4 iron arrows have stabbed the strongest fairy in Moors. Her body was out of control. The wings, which used to feel fairy-like, now felt like she was carrying an item that weighed several kilograms. Maleficent fell right in front of Aurora. Aurora can't say a word. Slowly, her tears fell. Her cries turned into cries that were so painful. Aurora screamed, hugged Maleficent, and cried in her arms. Philip and his troops watched Maleficent's paralysis with satisfaction. Maleficent died. It means Philip won this war. What you told me at the time was true. There was something wrong with Philip, and it turned out that Philip betrayed me. I'm sorry for not believing you. I'm so stupid. I'm a bad child. Please wake up. I need you. I can't beat them without you. Please, wake up," said Aurora with a trembling voice. Feeling of guilt pervaded her whole body. She couldn't hold back her cry. She cried while hugging Maleficent very tightly. Nothing changed. Maleficent remained in her state, silent, and closed her eyes tightly, until Aurora said again, "I miss you. I miss you so much." This is the key. A yearning recompense becomes a bright spot to meet again. The power of love between the two is able to restore all of Maleficent's energy and magic. Green light surrounds Maleficent. She awakens, becoming a stronger figure with wings spread. Now, all emotions are mixed up in Maleficent's body. Without saying much, Maleficent unleashed all of her magic, killing all the traitors in front of her. Philip and all of his troops had fallen. Maleficent approached Philip, who was in pain, and asked how to make all the black powder disappear. Apparently, it's very easy. Hold hands with Aurora and blow the black powder from the border. Then all the black powder will disappear, Philip said while enduring the pain. Immediately, Maleficent and Aurora did that. The black powder slowly disappeared, as if it flew into a gust of wind. All the inhabitants of the Moors began to come back to life and stand to protect the Moors. Now all has been uncovered. Philip interfered the black powder with evil magic to kill all of the Moors and prevent the black powder from working around humans. Philip took Aurora out into the beautiful forest just so his troops could spread the black powder on the Moors. He wants to kill all the inhabitants of the Moors because he doesn't want his beautiful lover to live with more strange creatures. Apparently, what Maleficent said was true. Philip is hypocritical and cunning. After the betrayal was exposed, Aurora drove out and prohibited Philip and his troops from entering her territory. Philip and his troops were also expelled by the citizens of the kingdom and asked to serve the death penalty because Philip had broken his promise as prince. But the punishment was deemed too cruel, so that they ended up being exiled on a desert island far from all kingdoms and forgotten as if they had never existed. Finally, Maleficent and Aurora are back in a warm relationship. There is no longer any Cold War between the two. Aurora becomes the queen who increasingly dignified, not just anyone who was allowed to enter the territory of her kingdom. However, behind her increasingly stern and stronger appearance, Aurora still can't accept that Philip has betrayed her. All the happy memories have become very bitter. Maleficent often saw Aurora crying alone in the middle of the forest. In the end, Maleficent will come and hook her, then let Aurora cry in her arms until she falls asleep on her warm wings. Everyone who heard this story believes that what happened to Aurora is a retribution for the treatment of her father who once betrayed Maleficent. So, this story is entitled Karma.